So hello everyone, my name is Marie, and the title of my speech today is The USA and France during the World War II, a complex relationship. So, as you may know, France and the USA had a really old and close relationship. Do you know what will happen in the following 8th of May? It will be actually the 70 years, we will celebrate the 70 years of the end of the World War II. So the World War II has been one of the most crucial period of history in the relationship of our two countries. The USA and France were allies during the World War II, but they were not only allies, their relationship was more complex than that. So I'm going to give you a little reminder of the context of the war. So basically, Adolf Hitler was the leader of Germany, and he went into to war against many European countries, and he also occupied a part of France. The German army controlled the half north of France, while the half south was managed by a provisory government, and also managed by members of the resistance, with a very famous French general. His name is Charles de Gaulle, and this general basically managed all the resistance actions against Hitler's army in France. I will first talk to you about the relationship between the US and France at the beginning of the war, so between 1939 and 1941. And then the relationship at the end of the war, so from 1942 until 1945, and finally the relationship just after the war. So what was their relationship at the beginning of the war? So there was a lot of tensions at the beginning. First, because the US was not prepared at all for the war. They didn't have a big army at all. And according to the history website ushistory.com, the USA was really shared between interventionism and isolationism. Pronunciation is good, but they were kind of shared between those two feelings. So they didn't really know if they wanted to get involved in the war. So basically, the President Roosevelt refused to help France and refused to get involved in the war. And the second source of tension during this period was that the President Roosevelt didn't like the General de Gaulle at all. So General de Gaulle, as I told you in the introduction, was the chief of the resistance in France. So he was one of the big figure, one of the main actor of the actions against Hitler's army. And so you can see here in this picture, this is in the middle, Roosevelt and de Gaulle, so the French general. And so why Roosevelt didn't like this general? Because he had a really strong personality. So this general was very charismatic, and Roosevelt was kind of afraid of this type of personality, because in Europe there were already many chiefs that were really charismatic, such as, for example, Hitler in Germany, or Mussolini in Italy, or Stalin in the URSS. So he was kind of afraid that maybe this general will take the whole control of France and will become kind of a dictator. So there were a lot of tensions between those two. And so at the beginning, a lot of tensions between our countries. Then at the end of the war, so from 1942 until 1945, there were an alliance between our countries. So why this alliance? Why did the relation change? So basically it was because, or thanks to one big event, was the Pearl Harbor attack. Because so it was the 7th of December 1941, and this event changed everything, because since this event, the USA was directly involved in the war, so they couldn't not do anything. Roosevelt had to get involved in the war since this event. So basically, from 1942, Roosevelt decided to help France, and they became allies. And the peak of their collaboration, so between France and the USA, was the invasion of Normandy. So it was also called the D-Day. It was the 6th of June 1944. And basically the American soldiers came by boats with also British soldiers and Canadian soldiers to the north of France. So the north of France was completely controlled by Hitler, and they came by boat to free France from the occupation of Hitler. So you can see here, I will pass it around at the end so you can see it a little bit better. So the American soldier coming back with boats to the shore of France, north of France. According to the website abouteducation.com, this invasion asked a lot of preparation and a lot of collaboration between France and the US. So they were really allies, and Roosevelt and General de Gaulle were really collaborating for this successful invasion to free France. And now I'm going to tell you what was the relationship after the war. So after the war, our two countries were kind of friends. They were not allies anymore because the war was over, but they became friends. At the end of the war, there was the liberation of Paris. So the French soldiers and American soldiers came to Paris to free the city from the occupation. And Roosevelt and General de Gaulle agreed to let French army enter first the city as a symbol. So they kind of agreed that the French will be the first to enter. It was kind of a symbol of the friendship of our two countries. And then the next other big event after the war was that the USA created the AMGOT. It was the Allied Military Government for Occupied Territories. So basically the USA wanted to have a control of all the countries that had been occupied by the German army. So France was one of those countries, but General de Gaulle strongly opposed to that because he didn't want another country to control the country again. So he created a transitory government, and this government was recognized by Roosevelt and the USA. So it was another big event in the kind of friendship of our countries. So to conclude, I hope you learned more about how complex was our relationship during the war, and how this relationship evolved at the beginning, at the end, and after the war. And I hope you understood how crucial this period was, because it still strongly influences how is our relationship now. And since the World War II, our countries didn't stop to being allies, and lately they collaborated in the war against Islamic State, so they didn't stop being allies since that.
Thank you.